Sandra Day was born on March 26, 1930, in El Paso, Texas. Here's how a cowgirl, as she called herself, became the first female justice on the United States Supreme Court. Day grew up riding horses and milking cows on Lazy B, her family's ranch in Arizona. When she was 16, Day began attending Stanford University. She graduated in 1950 with a bachelor's degree in economics and went on to study at Stanford Law. She graduated in 2 years instead of the usual 3 and was third in her class. Day married her law school classmate John J. O'Connor in 1952. She began looking for a law job, but firms refused to interview her because she was a woman. She worked for the San Mateo County Attorney for free, eventually becoming Deputy County Attorney. In 1954, O'Connor and her husband moved to Frankfurt, Germany. She served as a civilian lawyer for the U.S. Army Quartermaster Corps. After returning to the U.S. in 1957, she pursued private practice in Arizona. She served as Assistant Attorney General of Arizona from 1965 to 69. In 1969, she was appointed to the Arizona State Senate to fill a vacant seat. The next year, she was elected to a full term as a Republican. O'Connor was re-elected twice and became the first female majority leader in any state senate. In 1974, she was elected to a seat on the Superior Court of Maricopa County, where she served for 4 years. She was serving on the Arizona Court of Appeals when, in 1981, President Ronald Reagan nominated her to the U.S. Supreme Court. Reagan had promised during his campaign to nominate the first female Supreme Court justice. O'Connor was aware of the implications of her appointment. She later said in an event honoring her career, "I didn't want to be the last woman on the Supreme Court. If I took the job and did a lousy job, it would take a long time to get another one." O'Connor was sworn in on September 25, 1981. A moderate conservative, she valued pragmatism and precedent in her 24-year tenure. The court at this time was often called the O'Connor Court, as she regularly became a deciding vote on key issues. Above all, O'Connor was concerned with the real-world impact of the court's decisions. This resulted in her decisions sometimes leaning more liberal. She notably preserved the constitutional right to abortion in the 1992 case of Planned Parenthood versus Casey. O'Connor also upheld affirmative action in the 2003 case of Grutter versus Bollinger. Other times, though, she sided with conservatives, upholding the death penalty and shielding corporations from consumer lawsuits. Perhaps her most controversial decision was in the 2000 case of Bush versus Gore. O'Connor joined the majority in ruling that Florida's recount during the 2000 presidential election was unconstitutional. She later openly wondered about the ramifications of that ruling. O'Connor retired in 2006 to take care of her husband, who had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease some years prior. They moved back to Arizona, where 2 of their 3 sons were living. In her retirement, O'Connor founded iCivics, a website dedicated to teaching young people about civic engagement. In 2009, O'Connor was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She kept up with the Supreme Court's actions, and she spoke at times about what she saw to be the dismantling of her legacy. In 2018, O'Connor announced that she had been diagnosed with what was likely Alzheimer's and that she would be retiring from public life. On December 1, 2023, O'Connor died in Phoenix, Arizona. She was 93 years old.